Welcome to Business Talk, presented in collaboration with the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, from the heart of southeastern Ohio at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Our goals are simple: promote the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, as well as advocate local small business and their support organizations. More importantly, promote southeastern Ohio as a wonderful place to live, explore, and learn. There are many different ways you can find us. The University of Rio Grande Cable Access Channel 17, live online at blogtalkradio.com, and on YouTube if you are unable to catch our show live. Introducing our co-hosts, Jason Winters, Mike Thompson, Patrick Dengel. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to Business Talk. We are here this week with Dr. Govinda Koirala. Govinda is a former professor of mine. He is a friend of mine and a colleague. Govinda is from Nepal. He received his first master's degree from the university there in Nepal in statistics. He also has a master's from the University of Hawaii, where he received his MBA. And he has a master's from OU in economics. And he received his PhD from New York University or University of New York?
New York University.
New York
NYU.
University. NYU, yes. Govinda, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We had an opportunity to take Govinda out to eat.
No, you had an opportunity.
I
was busy advising students.
Who had the opportunity? I don't know, but I got the opportunity.
And he was telling us that he's almost finished with writing his autobiography, which it sort of capsulizes a number of different experiences that Govinda has had, including owning a restaurant in New York City.
New York City?
Yeah. And sort of highlights, key areas that he has seen throughout the world. And I have at the top of my list, does it include seeing the Yeti or the abominable snowman?
Yes.
Far out. I will buy them.
Only.
Oh.
Because they don't exist. AT doesn't exist. That's what they say. Some people say we have seen that. Maybe some beer or something. Maybe. I don't think that was only Yeti.
You just did not see that. Then obviously the other attraction is climbing Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times have you been up there?
Oh, how many times? Only on my dream. I've never been there. It's very, very difficult, obviously.
Yeah.
Otherwise, many people have climbed before Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay climbed in 1952.
Wow.
Only after that, people started saying, and then started climbing that mountain. So, I never actually. And
well,
I could
dreamed
see.
about it too.
I could see from far from that place. I could see Mount Everest
Really?
and many other mountains. Many mountains actually. 8 of the top 10 peaks are in Nepal. 8, and I have seen them from far away. Never climbed.
I understand, and I probably would look at them also from far away.
So, Govinda, how big is Nepal?
Okay, in area-wise, it is about the size of North Carolina, something. It's smaller
Very
than
small.
Ohio. It's smaller than Ohio, but from population point of view, it is not too small. 30 million people are there.
Wow.
So
Yeah, there's 10
population-wise.
million in Ohio, so that's
So that means
Yes.
Triple
the
our
size.
population.
Triple the
and-
population, but half the size
Yeah.
actually.
yeah
Of,
because
that.
of the
And
mountains.
half the size also, it is not in the mountain side basically, in the high mountain actually, those snowy mountains.
You
nobody
can't
lives.
live there, yeah.
You can't live there. That means basically most of the people are concentrated in the lower land. And it's very interesting. Nepal has very low land. It's only actually in one place 150 feet higher than the ocean.
Wow.
To 29,000 feet, Mount Everest. So it changes rapidly. that land. And most of the people are living in the lowland area. That is very fertile land also. So we call that Tarai or Mades area, that one.
And the country touches what other countries?
Country, two big giant neighbors are there. From three sides, east, south and west, India is all over. From the north, that is in the mountain range, on that side, Tibetan region of China.
China.
All China in the north, but in east, west and south, India. So it is a landlocked country.
Oh,
So
okay.
what is your major industry there?
Major industry, tourism actually is one of them, one of the major industry. But we also have some other products, very spices, or we also export those. Clothings or textile industries are there. Textile, carpets, and many other small type of industries, cottage industries are there.
So if because of the disaster that happened last week with the avalanche that came down,
Yeah, I have heard that.
that could cause a lot of problems for Nepal with tourism and the economy.
For a short period of time, it may cause, mainly because people expect that it may happen, and this kind of things may happen. It's a sliding in the mountain. You are on the mountainside. If you are climbing those, it may happen, and then it happened. Unfortunately, 13 people died on that one. It may shock for some people for some time, but because many people are interested to go mountain, even if that is risky, and so I don't think it will be that much shocking for long run period.
It seems like in the American news, maybe the expectation is that a lot of things go without risk. People don't die, and if somebody dies, then there's a problem. But
Well,
it
I don't know.
happens.
We have an awful lot of thrill seekers here in this country. We got people that want to jump out of airplanes.
Yes, with perfectly good airplanes.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't understand that at all, but you do what you want to do.
So
It's a fantastic trip all the way down to the ground, from what I heard.
Yeah, it's great until that last 2 feet.
Yes.
That rapid stop just is a doozy.
And so what you're saying is very, very true. There is always going to be risks,
some risks.
and
And they know that also. They
Yeah.
know the risk. They know the risk.
Sure.
But if that kind of accident happens, then that has to be some kind of compensation to those families also. That has to be a process. Some procedure has to be there. Some insurance has to be there. Maybe there is some complaint over there too on those cases. But I don't think it will be solved.
So you left Nepal about 32 years ago to pursue your education.
Yep.
And how did you end up at Rio Grande?
Well, that's a long story. Of course, I will be telling that in my autobiography as well.
Good.
Because I'm writing this, at this time I'm writing in Nepali, but I'll translate myself because the whole idea will not be diminished after that, because somebody translate, maybe whatever I want to say, that would be interesting factor.
And then you need an audiobook too.
Well, audiobook,
and a YouTube book.
maybe that one, maybe you'll help that one. For
Sure,
that one.
no problem.
Maybe
I can do the
voiceover.
Well, I was saying maybe he would.
Okay, but anyway, I was born in Nepal in very remote area, village area, and my parent, actually grandparent, was very fond of education. He wanted all children to be educated, and so he is the one who started school over there, and that's one reason why I also became teacher, a responsible teacher at that time, at the age of 11.
11.
At the age of, and then I started growing up, and then started my education. I finished my up to masters. I came to Kathmandu, the urban city of Nepal, and finished my masters, and started teaching over there too, in the university itself. But I thought I should go somewhere else better to get better education, and I received a scholarship. From the United States government. So I ended up in Hawaii first.
That had to
And-
be difficult for you to go from Nepal to Hawaii.
True, but I was excited, and so I enjoyed. And then I finished that and went back again to Nepal. But again, I was thinking, no, I should do some PhD work also, and came back to. And at that time, I came back to Ohio, Ohio University. I did my master's, but continue for PhD. And I did my PhD in New York. And just looking around, I was looking around, where do I get the job kind of things. Everybody starts looking for job right after graduation, and I also did the same. And I figure out here in this area, there is a position over there, and then I liked it. One of the main reason I liked it is it is a village area, just like I was raised. I was grown. It's a peaceful area, and so I liked it, and I stayed here and once I started staying over here, I liked it. I continued it, and it has been now 20 years now.
Wow.
20 years in Rio Grande University. So I felt good because, again, I don't want to go. So I want to go sometimes in New York. Yes, my family still are there.
Well, that's what I
In
was
New
getting
York.
ready to mention. Your wife,
Yeah.
she had a restaurant in New York City, so
Yes.
apparently she likes the city life and you like the
Yeah.
village life.
And but that one also, she also like to come over here to have the peaceful situation. She comes over here, and I like to go over there to have some nightlife kind of thing. So it is a good match.
You mean you would stay
I
up
agree.
past 9 o'clock?
Not even me, my children. My children also like to do that kind of things.
I
Actually, they
understand.
like even
I
more
understand. Yes.
than me. So
Yes.
that's how I ended up in Rio Grande
So,
University. Yes.
so, Pat, have you been to New York City?
That is one city I have not been to yet.
Mike?
And
I've been there 2 or 3 times, maybe 4.
I've been
short
there.
trips.
I've always said that I think everyone should experience New York City.
At least.
Yes.
At least once.
Yes.
I personally don't know why anyone would live there, but I think everyone should experience it.
That's what
Yeah.
I also feel. Actually, living over there for a long time would be tension. It would create more tension, actually. You would be in tension. Over here, very peaceful. Very peaceful. I can do whatever I like to do very easily. With concentration also, I can do it.
Well,
It's because of the concentration, I could write my autobiography as
right.
well. At the same time, I'm teaching over here.
well, some of the topics that you do teach, statistics, economics, these are not easy courses to understand. Really, when you come right down to it, it's really the study of how individuals make choices based upon a certain set of financial situations.
No, easy, you said easy. Which course is difficult? Which course is easy?
That's right.
You remember, it depends on your interest.
That's right.
So if it is interest, if you have the interest, nothing is difficult.
That is true.
But if you don't have interest, everything is very difficult. Actually, I feel history study is very difficult for me. I never liked it, kind of things.
Right.
So something.
I
So
agree.
But
I think it depends
most,
on.
yeah, most individuals, when they come through high school or in the everyday kind of living, there's certain questions that are very basic.
Okay.
Where to shop at, how much money do you have in the bank, etc. You are taking a set of dilemmas, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
And let's talk about the students' dilemmas,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
sort of an example. Here are not easy questions or not easy to answer questions. Like for instance, it really comes down to annual increases of tuition and books are going up higher and higher. And the cost of acquiring a college degree really puts a number of different students at a difficult stage once they graduate, and can they find jobs and things of that nature. And so economists like yourself have to help us really determine what options are available, or help us to think of solutions or things of that nature, don't you think?
Yes, of course, everybody has to go for their interest. Yes, that's true. But their interest may not match with the jobs.
Understand?
That's true.
And that's very, very true. There's
Yeah.
nothing worse than working in something
Yeah.
you do not like to do.
But that doesn't mean that you have to give up your interest.
Right.
And you have to give. If you have the interest, then you can do very good.
Good.
You can do very good, and you don't have to go to very brand name kind of college or brand name kind of universities. You get the same kind of education, same education. Even we provide the same education at very low cost.
That is true.
Very low,
That is true.
relatively very low to
That-
other
You're absolutely right.
universities.
I
But the
would
same-
agree with that you would get the same information.
Yeah.
The difference you get when you go to like a Harvard or Yale or something is the people you become friends with and who you network with later. That is, I think, the biggest difference.
That also one thing, I think I agree on that, but one thing only, for that one, to get into the job, you will be advantageous in those cases. But once you go to the job,
Right.
it is all up to you. And it doesn't matter where you got the certificate from. It is your work. So if you do the work very good, then you can go ahead and then you can improve. But after that, so for the beginning only, for the first entry only, maybe it may help little bit, but you will get exactly the same kind of information, same kind of education, same kind of knowledge, even in these kind of universities or public universities, public colleges over here. So, as you were talking earlier, you were saying that students are getting more and more kind of debt. They are not finding any job, and that if in those cases, yes, to reduce the job, they have to start looking for this kind of universities where they can get the degree, but at lower cost.
Yes.
So they start thinking about that way, and then later on, as you pointed out, once you get the job, it is all up to you whether you can continue, whether you can do better in your lifetime. So they are getting more debt if they go to other universities, brand name kind of universities. But if they stick over here, they get the same kind of education, almost all the same kind. They are not getting lower kind of education over here. The same thing. And they are very good. Actually, I should say, actually over here in this area, these students, our students are even better to manage, because they have to manage, most of the students have to manage their family as well. And during that time only, very small time they have left, and they can manage and they can do good. So that means they are better in managing later on in their life too.
That's-
So I suggest actually students to look for that kind of, if they want to reduce the debt.
One thing I would, if I can remember what I was going to say now. One thing about this business of education is you pay a lot for it, but it's not necessarily a service that I can just pay for it and I get something. I have to work for it. I pay so that I can work for it, and that's the biggest difference, whether you get something out of a college education or you don't, is the effort that you put into it. And if you put the effort, if you put the effort into it, you can get it.
It has to be your effort, not basically the teacher or professors or thing. You have to do yourself.
Right.
And that's why there is no difference between whether it is Harvard or whether it is Rio Grande University. It doesn't matter.
If you
Because
put in the
it's
work,
you.
you got it.
It is you.
Well, one of the statistics is basically, 60% of the individuals that when they start a course of study at whatever university will change their majors after the second year.
Yeah.
And so consequently, the same core courses are very applicable to other
Uh-huh.
Most programs, you do have a general education curriculum, so half of your program is general among different degrees. So yes.
But only after that you choose that of your interest.
Right.
And not only interest, sometimes they also have to, even though they have to not look at all the interest only, they have to find out whether it is saleable in the job market or not. They have to look for that. If they have some kind of similar kind of interest in one than the other, then they have to go for those which are sellable, which have the job market more or less. But the difference actually is, once you go into the college, you have to finish it. Finishing the college would reward a lot. Actually, if we see the statistics correctly at this time also, those bachelors over here are in the general bachelors, unemployment rate is only about 4%, which is actually full employment level in the country. This is what is expected. So that means they are not unemployed. In general, they will find the job very quickly. But if you are not graduated, if only high school graduate, for example, then in that case, unemployment rate is very high for those people.
Yes. And for those,
and particularly in this area, I just looked actually yesterday. I looked at the area-wise unemployment rate for the Ohio state. It is less than the overall United States unemployment rate. It is only 6.1% unemployment rate in Ohio, but overall national average is 6.7. But what about Southeast Ohio? In Gallipolis County, it is about 10%.
yes.
Makes 12.4% unemployment rate, even higher. This area we have a little bit higher unemployment rate.
And
But the reason I think, major reason I think, in this Appalachian area, they are more family oriented people. And they want to stay within the family. They don't want to go
that
a
is
little
very
bit
true.
higher.
Yeah, they
They
don't
don't want to
chase the
travel.
jobs.
Right.
They don't want to change. One may be that reason, but I'm not quite sure what was the reason for that. But this area we have a little bit more problem of unemployment, even though Ohio State has only 6.1, national average 6.7. Some of the counties in Ohio, northern counties, they have only 3%
But
unemployment rate.
you do bring up a good point.
Yeah.
All of us have seen individuals leave the area, go to other hotspots where there are a lot of better positions, etc., and then come back home. And when
Yeah.
they come back home, they don't necessarily see the kinds of monies that they've been earning. And so you bring a very good point.
Yeah, that may be one reason why they don't want to go over there. But if they go, then unemployment will not be there. Unemployment will be gone over here too, in those cases too.
You know, I was reading somewhere where Sally Mae, the college debt,
Uh-huh.
has surpassed $1.2 trillion. And when you look at the fact that the economic debt of the United States is $17 trillion.
$1 yeah.
Wow, what is that, about 8%?
No, GDP about 100%, almost the same as GDP, a little bit higher than GDP level, is the debt.
Yeah.
Total GDP is also 16 trillion or so,
Yeah,
and 17 trillion is the total debt.
okay. So about 10%. 10% of student debt. And
Total
yes.
Debt. But debt has been increasing for the students, I think mainly because on one hand, their total wage, income level has gone down. In general, real wage has gone down over here. On the other hand, tuitions and education cost has gone up. Education cost has been going up almost twice the inflation rate for the last 15 years or so. So when cost is going up education cost is going up, and people are not making as much money, then debt already will have to go up. Actually, debt will be. So, what is the way they can reduce the debt? That may be the problem. That may be the question. How the students can reduce the debt. Further, in public colleges, growth rate of the tuition is a lot higher than the private college at this time. But even though the higher growth rate, total amount still is not higher. Obviously, total amount is not going higher up. Amount, because they already had higher cost, higher tuition, and hence, even if a small percentage increase will make a lot higher amount, over here in public colleges, a small amount is lower, and even though the rate is higher.
Let me interject one thing. Many individuals look at what is the reason for the raise of the expenses. It certainly is not necessarily the educators themselves, because in essence, I think most all professors and assistant professors in administration, their raise is half of what the inflation has gone.
True.
And I think when we look at the technology and the infrastructure, and we look at all the other kinds of costs, they have risen tremendously.
The main reason of the cost going is the state and county budget costs on education. That's what I figured out. And that's state has, because state also has lower budget for the education.
Oh, so
and
the
then when
state has
state has lower,
lessened.
States had lessened that budget. When they lessen the budget, obviously universities they have to pay all our administrators, professors, everybody, and the cost is there. So to have that one, they have to raise the tuition.
Sure.
It's the only way to raise the tuition. So even if they raise the tuition, many students do not feel that way. The main reason was again federal programs, some federal aid programs that has been increasing a little bit, and similarly debt, they can get the debt also, they can get the loan, and when people get loan and other things, usually they don't consider whether the tuition rate has increased or not.
That's right.
Many people, they don't think, and then we have to go up. That is one of the reasons. That's out of various reasons. That is one of the reasons why this one is going up.
So one of the reasons why the tuition, you're saying that the state has provided less and less.
Sure. True.
That the cost of some of the infrastructure continues to rise. And the fact that many times students
do not consider it is a raise. They don't think of a raise, or they don't consider that one as the raise, because many of them are getting anyway financial aid kind of things also.
we were one of the other things that we touched upon, we'll have to have you back on, the minimum wage. There's a tremendous amount of discussion about should we raise the minimum wage? What will that do?
Okay. Yeah, minimum wage, many people argue. There are always two hands, actually. I should quote the famous quote from President Harry Truman, I think. He said, "Give me one-handed economist." Because always they say, on one hand this is the case, on the other this is. So anyway, there are two sides of that one as well. When minimum wage is raised, people will argue that if it is not raised, then because the cost of living is going up, and so it has not been raising for a long time, so they will be getting more so that they can survive, they can have the cost of living, they can survive. And hence, we have to raise the minimum wage. On one hand, yes, that is true, looks like, right? And when people get higher wage, they can buy more goods and services, they will have more money, and businesses also will be able to sell more, if that were the case. So, it helps the economy as well, on the one hand that way. The another one would be, if wage rate is going up, because businesses cannot charge higher prices, otherwise people will not buy those things, so they will not hire more people. They will buy less, or they will reduce the number of laborers, but rather they will start looking for automatic machines kind of things. And hence, actually, unemployment grows even further. When unemployment grows, that means people will get no money at all. And who are those people who will not get money? Those who are people who are saying that they will get higher wage rate. Those already having higher wage rate will be enjoying anyway, will be getting the job anyway. But those who are not in the employment or just entering into the employment, they don't have much of experience and they want minimum wage and they are not getting the job. And those people are actually been punished, and these people will actually not be surviving, and more unemployment will be there. It results more unemployment. And I saw the data also. Again, I almost all the time, I look at the data as my background as a statistician as well, kind of. And when I saw this kind of data and unemployment rate as well as this minimum wage on different states, and I see no connection. In some of the countries, no minimum wage. There are some of the states where there is no limits or no minimum wage, but still they have very high unemployment rate. And in some other counties where they have very high minimum wage, they have low unemployment rate as well. There is no connection, actually. There is no connection in these cases.
So you're
basically,
saying
what am I saying is, it is not a good idea to have the minimum wage at all, because if there is no minimum wage, then people will be getting some kind of work, at least. Otherwise, they will be having zero income. Rather than some income, zero income is bad.
Well, I would tend to agree with you. That philosophy will not get you elected to office.
That is political. We have to be different from the we have to be. I mean, we have to go away from the politics. Actually, as a teacher, we have to show both hands, not only one hand. On one hand, this one, and the other hand, this one.
Well,
so
and we didn't even talk about outsourcing. If we raise the cost of
Yeah,
manufacturing,
that's what it
now we
happens.
outsource jobs and we lose more unemployment.
That's the point. Actually, we will be outsourcing, or we'll be using more automated machines type of things.
Right. Yeah.
So, is it good to have outsourced people? Outsource job? No, we don't want that one. So have minimum wage.
what we want is the lowest price on everything and the highest wages, and we don't have to work as many hours. That's what we want.
You should not be.
I'm-
You should not be tackling any price things as well.
I
No
agree.
minimum
I
price or maximum price. Let the market decide.
That's right.
For those kind
That's
of
right.
things.
Govinda, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. We need to have you come back and talk more about the economics of the programs. Next week, we're changing our business talk. We have the Associate SBDC Director, Susan Foltz. She comes from the state of Ohio, SBDC program, and we're going to be having her on April the 28th, which is next Monday.
Now, aren't you doing some interesting things in the show next week?
Oh, are we?
Aren't you gonna do some flashbacks?
Yes.
Oh.
We have some interesting people, Dr. Danley, who's the president of the University of Rio Grande, and Tom Worley. He's the director of the Small Business, or the Ohio State University South Centers. We have
Dr. Zach Sharif.
Dr. Zach Sharif, who is a business dean, and we have David Nadler, who is a financial risk officer with.
Yeah, it will be interesting.
So it's going to be a great show, and it's like the discussions that we have. We hope that individuals on our Facebook pages, on your Facebook pages, on everyone's. Continue to discuss, some of the topics that you have, And perhaps I do like the one thing that you said, and that's if you can acquire your education at a less costing university, do so.
Yeah, do so, yeah.
Because
I agree on
that
that.
makes really good
Yeah.
sense. And University of Rio Grande is a very good school, very good college, and very good university.
And you
Thank-
get the same kind of education?
That's right. That's right.
We use the
Everywhere.
same textbooks that the
Same
big boys do.
textbook, Yes. And actually, I didn't talk about the textbook. Actually, I'm developing that because that way I can reduce the cost for our students as well.
That's right.
So I have giving notes actually for my
That's
text.
right.
Yeah.
And many universities are going to that no textbook, just sharing information online.
Okay.
We will have you come back.
Yeah.
I'm
Very
Patrick.
much.
I'm Jason.
I'm Govinda Koirala.
I'm Mike Thompson. Thanks for watching.